Hello, everybody. It is me, Sand Ninja 52, also known as Sand, also known as Caleb, here with you with another episode of Joystick Journeys. We are here at the arcade with the fantastic and wonderful the Captain Migs. Welcome in, Captain. Welcome in, Miguel. We are doing great. Uh, So, just to give everyone a little bit of backstory with the captain here, you hold a pretty high place for me in my journey as a streamer because you were
Oh
the
wow.
first friend and like on Twitch and on Threads whenever I started out on Threads.
Oh wow. I didn't even I didn't even realize that.
Oh yeah, so like you are a big one for me. You defend and then the rest of the cabin crew like shortly came after that.
It's awesome. Hey, well, it's been an absolute pleasure. So, uh you make it very easy cuz I mean, as everyone knows, you're a very lovable guy. So, and very kind too. So, I'm unworthy of your praise.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate the praise towards me as well. Uh but yeah, welcome to the arcade. Uh
Thank you.
this little fun passion project of mine. As always, we want to remind everyone that this is super non-formal. It is just two bros hanging out, talking about games. So,
Right.
I'll start off with the fun question that I love starting out with, and that's where's your start of gaming begin? Where does your joystick journey begin? Console wise, earliest memory, first game you really remember?
Oh, I know. This is easy. So, my first memory is I had a yellow Game Boy Color. My first game was, well, ironically enough, Pokemon Yellow. Um, I was so young, maybe 7, 6. Um, First ever game. I don't even remember like why I got it. I don't remember. Like, maybe I guess my mom gave it to me, but my mom was definitely not a gamer, so I have no idea where I got it. But that was my first memory was Pokemon Yellow, and I loved it. That's definitely what launched me into games and just being a Pokemon fan too for a while.
See, okay, so you're one of the other ones that. So you and Emmy so far have been like two of the outliers from a lot of people I've talked to with joystick, and you started out with a handheld game. You started out with
Yeah.
with the handheld instead of a full console or PC,
Yep.
and so I,
Yep.
I find that really interesting because like my start started with the Super NES, but it
Nice.
wasn't the first console I owned. I remember going over to my uncles and stuff and playing it, and then I remember my cousin having the 64. But the first console I remember having was the Sega Saturn.
Wow. Now that's yeah, that's old.
And then my big memory with Pokemon from that point was like I remember my brother having Pokemon Blue and me wanting to play it. And then because he wouldn't let me, my dad took his Game Boy and literally chucked it across the house. So
Oh, okay. So after Pokemon Yellow, I got again, I don't remember how I got it. I probably was just a fan already. So yellow, I had yellow, red, and blue. And I remember as a kid being super confused because to Pokemon Yellow, it was unique because your starter was Pikachu, right? You don't
yeah,
get uh, Charmander or any even one of them because your pesky nemesis Gary, I think, took them all, or whatever. Or there was only one left, I think, in Yellow. And so I remember being confused because when I played Red, I was like, "Yo, where's Pikachu at? Like, why can't I get Pikachu?" And then it wasn't until probably years later I found out he was just a catchable thing. I'm like, what? Reduced to just not a starter? But no, Red. So I had all three, and uh, Game Boy. I don't. Yeah, it took me a while. So my mom was like a single parent, so I never really got my first console until I think my first console was GameCube.
See, that was like me personally because I had my brother, and so my brother had the technically on the Sega Saturn. I think for a while we had a 64, and then my first console that was like mine, and of course me and my brother shared it, was because they were out at the same time, was the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube.
Nice.
Josh had the PlayStation in his room, and then I had the GameCube in my room for the most part.
GameCube is goated to
Dude,
this day.
everyone finds it so underestimated, and the power of the GameCube and the games that were. I remember the most
Oh
shovelware
yeah.
being for the GameCube. Like you talk a game
Oh yeah.
other than the Wii now, like the game that had the most shovelware at that time, I would say would be the GameCube because they put
Yeah.
anything and everything on that thing.
Yeah. And and so I had handhelds leading up to my first console. I had handhelds. So I had GameCube Color, and then got the Game Boy Advance. It was like a purple
Yeah,
Game Boy
the
Advance.
transparent one, the transparent
No, no,
purple
no, no.
one.
It was like
Oh, you
it
had
was
the
just a solid purple. I wish I had
okay.
a transparent. The transparent was really cool.
I had the
The transparent
transparent
was.
one.
I'm jealous. I was so jealous. Yeah, no, I had the regular. It was like standard purple one, and then the directional pad, like the left one, I think got like stick drift or it just wasn't working. So I begged my grandma, I'm like, "Grandma, please get me a new one." But at the time, she got me the Game Boy SP, which at the time Game Boy SP was like
Oh, you
top
had the
tier.
backlight. You didn't have any of the
Yes,
attachments.
yeah,
You could
yeah. The
charge
Game Boy
it.
SP was. Oh my gosh, yes, you didn't have to freaking get batteries. Yeah, so Game Boy SP was like top echelon handheld at the time. And it was black. And then I think I like that's when I started playing, Pokemon Emerald, Ruby Sapphire, and all that stuff. And then I think Christmas one year I finally got the GameCube, and I was ecstatic. I was like, "Yes,
Of
finally,
course.
a thing of my own." So that's my first ever like actual console that I got, which I was pretty late to the game compared to all my friends. So
Oh no, I definitely because like so with my brother for the Sega Saturn, I hadn't had like that moment in childhood where you become conscious of things, like you're aware of stuff going around you, and you're not just a
like,
kid sitting around anymore. So
yeah,
before I had my consciousness awakening, um, my brother informed me that like for the Sega Saturn, he got it originally for his birthday, but it was for his birthday and Christmas.
okay,
And he got Robo Pit. There was like a police fighting game that was like kind of like the old arcade shooters.
yeah,
Um, and then he got Guardian Heroes. But the thing with Guardian Heroes was he wasn't allowed to play it until Christmas. So
ugh,
like Christmas day one, he had my cousin and over, and they played Guardian Heroes, which that is one of the most prominent games other than Robo Pit that I remember
bro.
playing with the Sega Saturn and Sonic CD Nausea Blast.
Oh my gosh, no, the GameCube introduced me to. No, that's not fair because let's say it introduced me to Sonic, but I'm like, that's not true. My first Sonic was one of the Sonic games in Game Boy Advance, I think. I forget what it was called.
It was probably the
But
original
that's
Sonic Adventure because they did have
probably
they had the GameCube, well, the Game Boy port for it.
probably was. I think. I mean, I think you play with Tails. I think too. My memory's fuzzy on that one, but the Sonic Adventure, uh, Sonic Battle. No, what is it?
Sonic
Sonic Adventure
Adventure 2
Two
Battle.
Battle. Yep, that's on GameCube. That was like when I was playing that game back then. It didn't really age that well, but I know you and I
Oh.
can rave over it. When I first played Sonic Battle, like especially the last fight scene,
Oh.
um, when they both use the power of the Chaos Emerald and went in their like super forms. As a kid, I lost my dang mind.
Oh yeah, I mean
Lost my
like
dang mind.
Well, and so for me, for Sonic Adventure Battle 2, because I've done the full playthrough on stream. I go back to around to it every once in a while because I learned
Mm.
through one of the sites that I use. I got it for like $2. So I was like,
Nice. Yes, that's right. You did tell me.
how could I not get Sonic Adventure Battle 2 for $2 and relive my childhood?
Oh
Um
yeah. Oh
uh for the longest time I couldn't finish the last section because I would get stuck on Knuckles and Knuckles' water
oh
part of the
God.
final episode
Yes.
because I didn't have the
Yes.
rebreather. I didn't know that the rebreather was an item you could get. And so I actually didn't fully finish Sonic Adventure Battle 2 until like late middle school.
Oh yeah, they're disrespectful with that because I don't. You had to. There wasn't really much exploration, but there was kind of like the beaten path
Oh yeah.
in those games. So you had to. So not only did you have to play it first time around, it wasn't until you got like certain, uh, like the ring that lets you like
Yeah.
dash the rings. It wasn't until you got those items you had to go back,
Yeah.
and then you get yeah. It was terrible, but
The one that also doesn't help
um,
that the rebreather is, in my opinion, the second worst level of all of Knuckles' levels, and it's in the Desolate Mine.
yep. I hated those missions, bro. I hated the. I don't know if Knuckles had it, but I think Rouge did. And it was timed. It was a timed mission.
Yeah, it's the
You had to
first time.
find
It's the first time you do the bank heist.
terrible,
Oh my god.
terrible,
Yeah, it took me like 4 times on stream to do it again, and even now I'm like, Rouge, stop.
terrible. I was like, get me out of these levels. But um, and I know we got sidetracked. But
No,
GameCube,
that's
yes,
that's the
GameCube
point.
was the
If we get sidetracked, we get sidetracked, my dude. I mean, I had Ian before me on here the other couple of weeks ago, and we talked about Loom the entire time. It's fine.
hey. Hey, I'm just trying to make this as lit as possible. You feel me? I just want this to be good for you.
You're already here. It's already great.
Wow, 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 wow.
So,
Look,
but no, GameCube. So GameCube for me was also Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion.
yes, okay, okay. Bar Sunshine was the best. Never beat it though, because
Really?
some of those missions were hard for me. But Luigi's okay. I didn't beat Luigi's Mansion either at first when I first played it because I was a
Yeah.
huge pansy kid. That game legitimately scared the crap out of me. Um, because they would just
Oh yeah.
and Luigi's already freaking out. I'm freaking out. And it was terrible. So um, my solace playing that game was every time I went to the professor, I felt safe. But every time I got oh man, but it wasn't until high school that I went back and beat the game, where I conquered my fears because the game it was freaky.
Oh yeah, it had
It was,
some moments where you're just like, no, this is unnerving for a child. Like this is not a
yeah,
comfortable thing.
like dark, just a flashlight. You want to talk about real horror games? And then one of the most nightmare fuel moments was you had to. I was gonna say suck on, but I'm like that's inappropriate. You had to
We're
defeat
18 plus here. It's okay.
the
Phrasing.
you have to get the family. So you had to get the mom, the
Oh,
dad,
the first set. Yeah.
the yes, yes, and I think it was the grandpa or the grandma on the rocking chair
Oh yeah.
annoyed the crap out of me because I'm like, how am I supposed to fight you? But I think it was like you had to pull the drapes
Yeah.
or something, and yeah, terrible. But I digress. Luigi's Mansion is great. Mario Sunshine was great. Um, I played Mario Sunshine back when they had demos. Well, I guess they still do.
Back when they
Demos
had
at
demo
Walmart.
discs. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, at
no.
Walmart.
Demos at
Stuff.
Walmart. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yup,
When you're sitting there looking like
yup.
this the entire time, breaking your neck.
Yes, like that because it was tiny. Yeah, waiting for my mom to buy whatever she wanted to get. But man, Mario Sunshine was so good.
And then
Secrets in there too.
oh yeah, secrets are in there.
Mm,
Well, like technically, like Luigi's Mansion has a completion bonus. Like it has a tier for like its boss battles. I didn't know about this
Of
until
course,
college. So like,
of course it did.
so whenever you go and you turn them into the paintings, the um the paintings, depending on how well you did in the fight, how many coins you had, if you took any hits, for the boss battles, determines the grade of the frame. And I think like the top level's platinum or gold. And so like there's like the completionist runs for it, or like because you have speed runs nowadays, which is freaking crazy. I love and hate speed
Yeah,
runs to a point, but like you have of course beat it. However, and then you have a completionist run of getting platinum on every single frame, and you
that's
and
crazy.
it's a once if you don't get one right, your run ends. So you have to like get not hit by everything, do it within
Oh
a certain
heck
time
no!
limit and stuff like that. And it's just like
What?
Luigi's
And
Mansion. What happened here?
that's legitimately in the game.
Yeah,
I would have never.
I didn't know about it
Oh
until
heck
college
no!
because one of my roommates, he's my one of my roommates in college, which I love him to death. Uh, he was one of my he's a super big Nintendo fan, like probably the
Okay.
biggest Nintendo fan I've ever met. And he's like, "Yeah, you want to do a completionist run of Luigi's Mansion?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, why?" And he's like, "Yeah,
No.
they time you on how fast you do the fight, and if you take any hits, but if you fail one boss, you have to start the entire game over again." And it's
Ugh,
like that's crazy.
I couldn't. No, not for me. I'd get too frustrated.
Oh
I get
yeah.
way too frustrated.
So and then, of course, there's definitely completionist runs for Mario Sunshine for collecting all the sprites,
Of course.
and that's a effort in itself because the retro challenge levels without blood are a pain in the ass.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One of my favorite things about Mario Sunshine was the Metal Mario, or yeah, I guess
Well,
with Metal
the
Mario.
painted Mario,
No.
like
Yep,
Kid
yep,
Koopa,
yep. The
yeah.
Painted Mario. Yep. Um, pesky, but those levels were fun. Uh, but
The
there was
Yoshi
one.
mechanics for that game were
Oh
weird and fun.
yeah. I trying to remember if I even got. No, I think I did. I'm sure I did. I don't remember if I got Yoshi or not.
You unlock Yoshi's after you do the amusement park. After you clear the amusement park to go back
Okay.
there, you unlock Yoshi's across the multiple stages.
Okay. Then yeah, I think I got him. It's been so long, but yeah, I got him.
But they made it where Yoshi can't get wet because, like, supposedly they're not real Yoshis. So if Yoshi touches water, he disintegrates.
Okay. Well.
And I'm like, wait a minute here. What are we doing to the
Oh my
dinosaur?
gosh. Yeah, 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 yeah. There ain't no way. They need to stop that. Oh no. Okay. So I recently got it. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door on GameCube
Yes, yes,
is
yes, yes.
still up. I recently got it on my Switch. I played like 15 minutes of it, but I think I wanted it just to have it. But Paper Mario on GameCube was 10 out of 10
It's still the best Paper
gaming
Mario, in my
experience.
opinion.
Oh yeah, I haven't even played the other ones after that.
So So like the original Paper Mario for 64, good classic, nice, good spiritual successor to Super Mario and the Seven Stars or whatever the fuck it's called.
Right.
Um, because it was the first Mario RPG like after it, and they're like, well, we want to do something different with it, and I loved the idea of it. Super Mario and the Thousand Year Door. Me and my brother pretty much did everything you could do for it, except for the 100 level dungeon.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
You know, the challenge dungeon in the sewers, because
Yeah,
why not?
forget about it. I might have maybe gotten 30 floors in. Um, but I even get to beat the game
Yeah.
because the final boss, in my opinion, was stupid difficult. but I also wasn't really an RPG. I keep hearing noises. Wasn't an RPG. Um, I wasn't really into RPGs, like JRPGs and turn-based stuff. So, the concept of grinding for levels
Yep.
didn't. I was too impatient for it. Um, so in hindsight, if had I just trained, I would have been fine. But I really that concept was so new to me. So I was like, no, I'm sure I got it, and I got clapped. So
I'm fine. It's like Pokemon. When you're young and you just have nothing but attack moves and you don't have any status effects or anything like that,
yeah,
you brute force
like
your
when
way through
you're
that game.
hyper beam, easy.
Let's go.
Hydro pump, easy. That's it. Fly, easy. Dig, easy. Yeah, even Pokemon, like you didn't really need to paralyze them or sleep them.
Nah, you didn't need
You don't really
Swords
need it.
Dance or anything like that.
Oh, oh, for what? For what? Caterpie, no, you were fine. So yeah, it wasn't until my adult life where I started really playing JRPGs where I'm like, oh, levels are important. Got it.
So, um, but no, Thousand Euro Door, like that was one of the games that like signified like RPGs for me, especially
Yeah.
like the turn based because there's that and then Pokemon Coliseum, which is stupidly
Oh
hard
my
for a
god, I
Pokemon
forgot about
game.
this. Dude, I love Pokemon Coliseum.
It was such a unique take
Um,
on it, and then just dealing everything, and it's just like, why is this game so hard? Why can I only level up
mm,
my Pokemon after I purify them or go to fucking Celebi for it?
uh,
Why?
yeah. Oh, Pokemon Coliseum was, which is like, we can go on a whole rabbit trail of like when. Right now, I'm not really the Pokemon Company. I'm not too happy with, but um, the Pokemon Coliseum, because it wasn't Pokemon. The Pokemon Company didn't make it. It was some
Yeah,
other company that. Um, but the entire concept was phenomenal. Like the fact that you can steal
yeah,
Pokemon,
or
um,
snag
the
them.
fact that yeah, snag them, whatever. Um, but even the starter ones, you get so Espeon and Umbreon, the starter just I loved it. It
Yeah,
was it was so cheap, but having them two as your starter was amazing. Driving around your
your
desert
motorcycle
motor,
thing.
yeah, so cool for no reason. It was not like nothing crazy about it, but it was so cool. The enemies actually felt like the evil corporation actually felt like an evil corporation. I like your Team Rocket that wants to
Okay,
petty crime.
okay, no,
It was a
Team
great game.
Rocket was evil. It's Team Flare that's newer that you're just like, excuse me, what?
Or Team, what is it?
uh,
It was Sword and Shield. Who was it? The screaming one?
yeah, Team Shout or whatever.
Oh gosh, boo! Like you're a nuisance. Get on my
Oh,
screen.
it's
But
Ultra Sun and Moon. That's where they are. It's Ultra Sun and Moon. That's Team Shout or whatever. No, no, no. Team
oh,
Flare. Who was in Team Flare?
Team Fight. That's not Ruby, right? Sapphire and Ruby.
No. So Team.
Oh, you're right.
No. Okay. Give me a moment. My brain's trying to work too fast. I need to slow down here. So you had
And I'm almost 30. Let me slow down.
Team Flare in Unova. No. Where's Team Flare? Chat. Chat. Help us.
Yes, yes.
Um.
We're two old dudes. Help.
Because Guzma, which was in Ultra Sun and Moon. Team Plasma
Plasma
was
was
Unova. Okay, Team
Yeah, yeah,
Plasma was
yeah.
cool. I like Team Plasma. Okay,
Team Plasma was cool.
because they're androgynously theocracy. Team Flare is X and Y. There it is.
Ah,
Because either you have him like wanting to bring back life with the tree, or
yep.
you have the tree deer, or you having wanting to
Hmm.
exterminate all life and start again with Y.
Yep,
There it
yep.
is. Okay. And then
Or Yeddle, whatever it's called.
Team Shout had Team Skull. okay, Team Skull was Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. Those were one of the ones that are just like, you guys aren't evil. You
Yeah.
guys are a bunch of wannabe gangsters. The
Get out of my
scientific
face.
corporation over here is the evil
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, yeah. It was it base game or ultra where she fused?
It
Homegirl
was
fused
Ultra.
with the. Oh my gosh, ultra was good.
Ultra was good.
Ultra was
I like the concept with Sun and Moon that we got away from gyms,
yeah,
but I didn't
same.
care for the island trials themselves.
Eh, I, it's
And then Team Shout
wait,
is Sword and Shield.
yeah. Get Team Shout out of my face. They yeah, Team Yell.
Team
No,
Yell.
bye. They were so annoying. It was
Because
yeah.
they wasn't
I
really evil
it's
either. It was
yeah
literally the head of the Pokemon League for Sword
yeah.
and
Oh,
Shield.
which even okay. So first cutscene, right, where it shows the tournament and whatever. And when the president guy showed up on the scene, I'm like, oh yeah, you're the bad guy. You don't look like that, and not be the bad guy. You
You
such
don't
the
look like a
villain.
capitalistic pig in an anime game to not be the
Nope.
evil guy.
Oh yeah, with the mustache and all. I was like, no, no. He had the Tony Stark's beard, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, nope. You are so evil. So I'm
But back to
trying to
Pokemon
so
Coliseum. Pokemon Coliseum
yes,
had
yes,
some
yes,
evil
yes.
people.
Oh yeah, there was villainy everywhere. There was bad people everywhere in that game. You were just an anti-hero just
Trying to do the
trying to
best you
purify.
can.
Yeah.
Stealing Pokemon.
Like I remember losing my mind where cuz the game was clever because you can only have a certain amount, there's only a certain amount of Pokemon you can catch. When it came time to catch the legendary dogs, which by the way, best legendaries ever.
Yep. I'm a
Uh
Johto stan, so yeah.
oh, oh, Gen 2, that's it. Easy, easy. Gen 2 wipes out every other one. But you can only fight, you can't, I don't think you can collect all three. I think there's like you had to choose which door, whatever, and then one of the villains had like, that you fought them, you can
Yeah.
capture them. But um, such a good game, man. GameCube was goated.
GameCube GameCube is solid, plain and simple. Like we'll
Mhm.
say that till the day I die.
Oh yeah.
Um okay, before I ask my full game related question about Pokemon, because I'll let you hear it so you can think about it a little bit. The best Pokemon spin-off game in your opinion. But second
Mm,
question to answer
okay.
immediately, favorite Pokeball. And I will judge you on this.
Okay, hold on. All right, so spin-off. It's tough because I always like thought it was meh whenever they did the spin-offs. Um, would you consider Coliseum spin-off? Because that might be my vote.
Yeah, Coliseum's definitely a spinoff.
Coliseum. Yeah, I thought the concept of Pokemon Ranger was kind of cool, but
Pokemon Rangers goaded for me. Like that's definitely my top
yeah,
three.
yeah,
My top is
yeah.
Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii.
Revolution.
It's
Hold on.
so Pokemon Battle Revolution is technically like Pokemon Stadium's spiritual successor. So it's considered
Pokemon.
the third like Pokemon Stadium is what it's considered.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Eh,
not on. Is it online?
Nah, well, you could do because where it was on the Wii, you could battle your friends on it and do wireless battles. But it was just kind of the standard, like how it was for Pokemon Stadium. You choose what Pokemon you want. You could
Oh
choose a little
yeah,
bit of variation for their moves. You could bring Pokemon in
yeah.
from Diamond and Pearl and transfer Pokemon to Diamond and Pearl. And you could fight with them with 3D models, and you went through different like stages of the what was considered the Battle Revolution tournament.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I never played it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then of course Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap for me is one of the best Pokemon spin-offs.
Yeah. That's another game that was a demo at Walmart. Um, I never owned it for myself, but Pokemon Snap is just it's classic. It's
Yeah.
just too good. But yeah, Pokemon Coliseum is my vote for spin-off. In terms of my favorite, you said my favorite or the best? Well, I
Favorite
guess
alternate Pokeball.
okay.
Because this, I
All
will
right.
judge you hard for it.
All right, here we go. So I'm only saying this one because it has saved me from many of battles I thought I wouldn't be able to catch them. But my one of my favorite Pokeballs is a timer ball.
Okay, underappreciated. I'll take it. Good design too. I enjoy the
Yep.
design of the of it because I know you're a design guy as well. So that's another reason
Yep.
why I asked it.
Yeah. No. The design of it was really clean. Um, and then this one's gonna be like left field because it's so minimalistic and it's probably nothing. But I actually like the primer balls.
Yeah.
It's just I like the white and red. I think.
Here's an off-color Pokeball. Enjoy.
Yep. It has no functionality except for aesthetics. But here you go.
Um, so mine is actually not obtainable in a game. It's only in the anime, and it's specifically only in one of the movies.
Okay.
And it's the Dark Ball.
Hold on. I need
It's
to
from
I
the
need to
Pokemon
consult.
Celebi movie.
Dark ball Celebi. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally so like because how all the Pokeballs are supposed to be like an environment for the Pokemon on the inside.
Right.
It's literally a Pokeball that is designed to put a Pokemon through the worst case scenarios over and over again battle wise and make them
Oh.
angry and evil.
Oh yeah. Dark Celebi.
And it's like
That is terrible.
I'm like that is like and especially because like some of the Pokemon movies got dark. And like I know like some of the
Yeah.
best quotes come from like Mewtwo's movie and then like the
Yeah.
whole concept of Entei's movie and the Mystery of Unknown. That movie's fucked if you really think about it.
Oh yeah. I remember watching the movie as a kid and being so confused. I'm like, what is happening?
What's going
What is
on?
going on?
But then
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I was.
Celebi's movie is a first of all you meet young Professor Oak and that's dope, first of
Wow.
all. And then secondly, you have an evil villain that is literally the whole reason is he wants to capture and steal Pokemon and then to turn them evil to take over the world. Like, excuse me?
Yeah. That's as villainy as it gets.
Like,
For sure.
where's him in the anime? Well, in the games. Give me him as a villain.
That they I just feel like sincerely um especially because so the reason why I said I'm not happy with the Pokemon thing the company is because I'm sure everyone knows at this point but they're like suing Power World whatever
Yeah.
and I've actually been having a blast with Power World
Yeah.
not because simply just because it's new it's fresh sure it's odd like I can never take it seriously riding a you know a pal with a machine gun a little weird but I don't know, it's just fun. It's just different.
It's fun, it's different. My biggest pet peeve with the whole Pow World thing right now, because I will sit and touch on this because as much as I haven't touched Pow World since like that first couple weeks since it came out, my biggest pet peeve with that whole debacle right now is that Nintendo is trying to patent game mechanics.
Nonsense.
And I don't think that that's fair because
No.
like if you patent certain game mechanics like there goes little like if you would patent how a tt like a an rpg game plays that
Right.
monopolizes the company that monopolizes that genre if you if you do the stamina from like Breath of the Wild for example which I know they do it in Pow World like
Yep.
that kills Genshin Impact that kills a multitude of games right there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's where it gets scummy, in my opinion. Like, I've always been a little grumpy about, like, Nintendo's practices because, like, you have there was a YouTube channel that just uploaded soundtracks onto
Hmm.
YouTube, and they got hit really hard for a lot of it. And it's like, but why? People sitting there, they're
Yeah.
enjoying the music, they're still listening to your content and all that stuff, and it's for
Yeah.
free. Whoop de doo. You don't have it anywhere. You don't have the soundtracks on CD. So the only way to get it is to play the game. When they started doing the emulator for the Switch, for the NES,
Mm.
SNES, and then they did 64. There are emulators that are out there that emulate their games better than the one they produced for their own system. And my
Oh yeah.
biggest example is the original Paper Mario. So there's a boss fight that midway through the game, it's when you're on Yoshi Island, and it's a piranha plant
Okay.
that's in lava. That boss fight is already a pain in the ass to deal with. That
Right.
boss fight is much more of a pain in the ass to deal with whenever you have lag spikes and your FPS is going down to 20 to 5 frames on an
Terrible.
emulator that they produced for their own company, for their own games. And it's just like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea that they patent it was, I think I read it, it was like using a ball to capture creatures. I'm like,
That's the
what?
specific thing that they're patenting. Because I
Yes,
haven't read
it's
up
like
on
one
what they're
of the
doing it.
no, it's literally it's something as ridiculous as okay, it was like something along the lines of using a sphere or a ball to capture a creature, and then it's like they patented like how the shadow. I didn't actually read this one. This was what I overheard, but it was like something about the shadows and how it works in their games. It's just
What the
what I just
hell?
I'm where I'm coming from with this whole thing is like uh there's little to no excuse, in my opinion, why their games should still have. This is minuscule, but this will drive my point. Why their tree textures are the same tree textures from Ocarina of Time from like way back then, Nintendo 64. It doesn't make any sense to me. And like with this new one, Scarlet and Violet, uh, I didn't play it because I didn't think it was fresh enough. But all the things I heard about the frame rates and flipping through the environment, I'm like, they've been doing it for too long. Meanwhile, you have Power Roll that actually works. I didn't find any clipping issues playing it. I put some hours in there,
There's
so I
some,
don't know.
and that's because I pushed the limits of what I was supposed to be being able to do. When you go to the lava area,
Fair enough.
I climbed that mountain the hard way. Damn it!
As you should, as an explorer should.
But like, oh, and then like Pokemon Legends Arceus. It was
Oh,
a
okay, yeah, go ahead.
fantastic game,
Yeah,
fantastic game. And like,
absolutely.
I didn't have like a lot of people complained about the frame rate issues or the field of view with it. Whatever. I can look past that.
Yeah,
I can look
yeah,
past that. It was a fresh Pokemon game that was considered a mainline title that did
yeah.
something different.
Yep, yep.
If you would
Absolutely,
if
hundred
you
percent.
would give me a game that even just remotely did something different for it, and like my ideal Pokemon game. Hear me out here, and it's a bit of a stretch, and they could do it. They could do it if
Talk
they
about it.
sat and took time for it. Give
Talk
me a
about it.
game with at least more than one region. Give me a game where you can start in like let's go first three gens. Kanto, Johto, Hoenn. Because by technicality, if you look at like one of the Pokemon maps that I know are mostly fan made, but because they go off a generic map of Japan, those are the three that are closest together. So
Right.
you can start in either of those three. You can start with any of those six starters, and you can go on the gym trial. Cool. That's awesome. We kind of had that with the newest one, fucking
Yeah.
Scarlet and Violet, where you had like the different tracks you could go down, but you could do all
Yeah.
three of
Yep.
them. But make it where like you had to do one from completion all the way through. And because we've got Hoenn in there, so you have the gym track, and then you have the Pokemon contest track. Add
Yeah.
contest places throughout all three regions. So no matter what
That'd
region
be
you
cool.
start in, you have the ability to do contests and then go to whatever island it was in Hoenn for the
Yeah.
grand hoopla-doo. And then a third track would be like considered the professor track, where your whole goal is to catch all of the Pokemon in the Pokédex, plain and simple. Like
Yeah.
that is your goal. Give me a game where you have those three tracks. You can do the online stuff that like Scarlet and Violet did, and have people come with you on your Pokemon adventure. And you could travel as like a coordinator, a trainer, and a professor in training or something, or like a lab assistant,
Yeah.
because they could do it.
Yeah.
They could do it if
They
they
could.
just sat and did time.
And it's such a shame though, because if we look at Gen 2, right? When you got to travel between Johto and Kanto,
Yes.
it was when I because I I beat Yellow and Blue and Red, and usually after you beat the Pokemon League, that's it. You go back to your pallet town, you're chilling. This game, you beat the game, and they're like, "Hey, you can actually go to another region." I'm like, "What?" Lost my mind. Went to the other region, and I believe canonically, I think Gen 2 took place years later, right?
It takes place I think 2 or 3 years later,
Yep.
because Giovanni's in hiding. Um, and that's like Silver, your rival in Johto. That's his whole quest, is to find Giovanni because he believes he's his dad. And I think actually in the canon of the comics, he is his dad. And then Koga is no longer the gym leader
Mhm.
because he
That's right.
retires. And Blaine is no longer. No, Blaine's still a gym leader, but he talks about retiring. And
Yep.
then because
Yep.
Giovanni's not around, Blue is the eighth gym leader.
That's right. He is.
He's also the first gym leader to not use a typing.
Yeah, it was really hard.
He's not a single
It,
type gym
but
leader, and I think he's the only not single type gym leader.
that's why it when I think of those games, it's always going to be one of the, if not the top, because not only did it added some flair, in my opinion, but it furthered like the story a bit,
Yeah,
and it was just cool. It was a very contained, like your rival, like it kept the rival thing, and it was really cool. I don't know, it was just great. Um,
I got a
although I do
correction from
want to,
chat. Koga retires from being a gym leader, but he becomes a member of the Elite Four
eh,
because he
that's right.
replaces what's her name, the ghost one,
Yes. Yep.
Agatha.
Yep. Yep. So I might have to get an emulator for it. But what's real quick, something that in your chat Vinny mentioned, which actually had me crying out loud in my internals, was where is it? 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 Mirror B.
Oh
The
yeah,
Afro.
Mirror B and his Disco Samba Ludicolo theme. Yeah, Mirror B, one of the best villains of one of the most of one of the
Yep.
most terrible ones.
Oh, I when I saw that, I was crying inside because
Also, I've lost your camera
freaking Mirror B.
real quick
Oh shoot, hold on. Hold on.
because now I've got me myself doubled there for a moment. There we go. Now you're back.
All right. Here we go. Oh,
It's gonna be nice me
there I
talking to
am.
myself in the middle of that VOD. That's great.
Uh, it adds some flair.
It adds to it. Hey, if it's not a
But
scuff
yeah,
stream, are we really streamers? If there's not a little bit
right.
of scuff,
If there's not some technical issues. But
or
yeah,
me
Gen
running an
2,
hour
man.
late, I mean,
Yeah, it's just the perks of being over 25.
It's the perks of
Never
actually
going
having
farther than
friends
planned.
again in my actual life and doing things with them in person.
That's a win. That's a
That's the
W
win
right
right
there.
there.
W in the chat for the community.
Um. Oh, Chad, thank you for that. I meant to do that earlier. Yeah, if you guys want to go follow the captain, Miguel here, the good old Captain Migs, go follow that
Guys,
link.
guys, yeah,
He's
you
been
know,
no, so talking on your stream real quick because I know you fell in some hard times and you took a step back from streaming.
yeah,
I love how you're coming back to it a bit right now with the white noise
yeah,
streams. I really enjoy that concept. Like just
yeah.
playing the game.
Yes. So context. So I started streaming. Um, I think December of last year. It was something I've always wanted to do, but I was either too shy or you fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So I started actually trying in January. And I think that's when I was scrolling on Instagram because I would post on Instagram, "Hey, I'm going live," and I got no traction whatsoever.
Yep.
It wasn't until I was scrolling through Instagram and randomly it did like a shout out of someone um
On
on
threads.
Threads. It's
Yeah.
like, yep, Threads, and they were like, "Hey, if you're a streamer, drop your," and then it cut off. So I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out." So I pressed on it, and it had a bunch of people saying their names, what they stream, whatever. So I'm like, I guess this is my chance. I smacked my microphone. So I did that, and that's what really started me building some really solid connections on Threads. You being obviously one of the first for me as well, and so I started streaming The Forest as one of my first streams,
I remember
which
coming into
was
some of your first four streams.
yeah, it was awesome. It was on my PlayStation, so I didn't have a capture card at the time, um, and I was still trying to figure everything out. But fast forward, um, yeah, I had to take a break because just some financial issues. I might have had to like move away from my apartment. Is this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Florida guy. I'm a Florida boy. So,
Okay.
in my head, I'm thinking of like, oh, do I move back? What do I do? A lot of stuff. So things kind of settled. And but and I'm sure you've known this too. But once you take a break from it, it's tough to kind of get back into it, as especially to a place where like you once were. And so I'm like, okay, I really want to get back to it, but I don't have the time, resources, dedication,
Yeah.
motivation, even to kind of get back to where I was. So, mind you, I say back to where I was as if it wasn't anything special, but it was my thing. So I came up with white noise streams. So basically, it's an excuse for me to hop online, not really be interactive, but still kind of getting the playtime in there. Plus, I'm a huge white noise person, especially when I'm going to sleep. So I'm like, this is an opportunity for someone just to have background music or background noise. Absolutely, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
But so I came up with that idea, and it's something I'm probably gonna do because I do have a set. I had a set schedule. It was like Mondays and Saturdays. But before I get back to that, I'll keep doing white noise streams, and then it's one of those things where it's like, hey, come on in, leave it in the background. Really, it doesn't matter. It'll most likely just be League of Legends anyways.
Yeah.
um, but no, I'm excited. I have things are definitely looking better.
Good.
So when normalcy happens, oh my god, I'm getting caught. Uh, I'm really excited because I don't know if you know about there's a game called the Gray Hill Incident on on PlayStation. The game is it's like a horror
Yeah.
game, but it looks so corny. But it's about aliens, and when I tell you, I played the demo and I streamed it, and it was such a great time because it was just nonsense, but it was a fun nonsense. So that's on the docket. I have Star Truckers
Oh,
that's on the
dude.
docket.
I've been playing Star
Yeah,
Truckers on my own right now. Like it's become one of my
uh,
like comfort games to play off of stream.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, I'm so excited.
because I played Trucking Simulator, um, both one and two, and then the Americans version.
That's awesome.
Why do I have so much a hard time driving an actual truck, but me driving a truck with three freaking
Oh,
directions I need to maneuver, I'm okay with it. Like
oh
my
man.
biggest problem with that game right now is all the fucking holes I keep getting in my truck because I keep accidentally running into like debris.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that's awesome. But yeah, so soon, and I've been doing a little bit of tweaks to my channel, like tweaking like the different scenes and stuff. So,
Yeah,
the Captain is out. It's not out of the couches yet, but and I'm excited. I'm excited to get back into it.
dude. I like as I said at the beginning, like you were one of my first like Twitch friends. You were one of my first like Threads friends, and like I remember me coming into. I think you're one of the first people I rated too,
I think so.
because you were like one of the only people I knew on in the Twitch community. It's like, well, let's go see the captain. Let's go see what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he was playing the forest, and I'm like, oh, here we
The
are.
forest, dude.
We're gonna watch him play the forest and muck about. And it's like, but there's such a almost because like I started in November. I started streaming literally a month before you, full
Yep.
time. Well, not full time, but like because I was unemployed
Yeah.
forever and a half.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Yeah.
uh, and it's just like there's almost a nostalgia to it now,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially to like because I know you're trying to reach back that point, and if my memory's serving correctly or not to bring it up in like a negative context, but just the context of what it is, like you're not affiliated yet, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So like, hey, I want that to be a goal for you, Mister. By next year, I want to see you affiliated.
Oh, that's coming. Don't you
It,
worry about it.
and if I have to gather all the people I need to make that happen, because I know that stupid freaking average viewer is a bitch to get
Oh,
because we know how
God.
long it took me for it.
Yeah. And it's like I'm checking now, but it's literally it might be one of the last stupid boxes I have to check. Let me see. Hold on. It's where am I? Where am I? I'm lost in a rainbow. Achievements, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, yeah. So average, yeah, my average viewership is terrible. So we're almost there. Chat, we're almost there.
we're almost
All
there,
right.
and that's the best
We're gonna
part.
get
But
there.
it's like, but so like to see where we was though, especially because
Oh,
I've
no.
seen you from the beginning, and I know you've seen me from the beginning. Like it's weird because I don't know if I've actually fully had the conversation with you or if you've listened to some of the other joystick journeys because I know I've talked about it at least like once every time. I started streaming because my entire life just got upheaved. Like
Yeah.
I was with my partner and we split up, and for a while I was living on my brother's literally living on his living room floor on a futon mattress, and then my computer was in his office and everything. And then when I finally got this house, you don't realize how alone you feel after something like that until you're
Yeah.
literally living by yourself in a house that you're not used to yet, to the point like I literally walked out one time out of my bedroom and I didn't have any of like the night lights that I have scattered throughout my house thanks to the wonderful and amazing Big T. Um but like I walked to like literally inches to my bathroom door, almost knocking me right in the face. But like I was sitting there gaming, and like gaming didn't have that feel to it like it used to. I didn't have a lot of my college
Yeah.
friends anymore. I didn't. A lot of the friends that I did play games with, other than my brother, they left with the relationship at the same time. And I
Yeah.
played all the time with my partner and some of our friends and stuff like that. That I didn't have that anymore. So I was like, how can I fix that? And then I remembered like, well, I tried streaming at one point on YouTube, and I was like, let's give Twitch a chance. Let's give a good handle to that. And it's
Yeah.
like just putting myself on and like seeing, cool, I got 5 viewers. Cool, I'll take 5 viewers right now. Or
Yeah.
seeing the one or two people that came in that, because I used to have a notebook that had like a list of the bot names when Twitch used to fill your chat with your who's in your chat with
Oh my
bots.
gosh, yes.
And I was like,
Yes. I was,
so I'd see someone in my list and I'd be like, oh, you're not a bot. Hey, I've got people, and it's like
yeah.
that little introspective right there. That it's just like where we've come now, and I want
Oh
to see
yeah.
that for you too, because like, dude, that first Twitch paycheck, it's weird that you go, I got paid for playing video games. Wait a minute here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the nostalgia is so real because, um, man,
Vinny's great.
I literally like speaking of bosses, right? No, that was Vinny. Um, um, but yeah, when I first started, I remember like I didn't have a setup. Um, I had, I had just my PlayStation at the time, and then I remember, but it was really cool growing, not growing the viewership, but it was really cool connecting with people, right? And I know
Yeah.
we have a few mutual people that we have connected with. And for you too, with the cabin, your cabin members.
Oh yeah.
Um, but it was always so like I got really giddy whenever you would raid, or I don't know if people know Spirited Lemur when she would raid.
I've seen a couple of their streams.
Even
I know I've got them on
yeah,
Threads, and I know I'm following
yeah.
them.
You see Emerson. I don't know if
Yeah,
you know. I
I
think
rated her
yeah.
today. Actually, did you know she changed her username?
No, what?
She changed her username. It's like oh, what is it? Crap baskets. CC Zoomy is what it is now. And then like
What?
where I've got the Game Boys now as my like subscriber badges.
Yeah.
She's got kind of the similar, only they're like turned slanted and they're a bit more bulkier. But yeah, I had to double check and realize if it was her or not, because I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. What the? Yeah. I'll have to do it later. But now I have to freaking. Anyways.
Yeah, you gotta go check
Um.
out the VODs later.
Yeah. So I can freaking see where she's at. But so when these people, and I was very like intentional with trying to be involved in their streams and stuff like that. So uh, the genuine community that was in Threads, even here, has been incredible. And so I remember, um, this is when you and I really started to connect. I remember when you first got affiliated, I was like, oh my god, W's, right?
Yeah.
Um, because it's really cool seeing one another succeed and get to that next step. So when you got there, and then there's one point I remember hopping onto your stream, and you're like, "Yeah, I have like over 100 followers." I was like, "What the freak, over 100?" Um,
One away from
but you're
250 right now.
that
And
is
I'm like, come on,
insane.
someone. Just even a pity
That is,
follow and just stay there.
you know, I'm about to make up a new account just to follow, but uh, it's just really cool. So seeing where we both have been and even where we're going, I'm like, it does bring excitement too.
Oh yeah. So so kind of rounding back to like games and games that we've played, because like that's like a main part of it, like us being streamers now. I know you do a
Right.
lot of League of Legends. You started out with the Forest. And so I kind of bring up the question of like, is there a genre of game you wouldn't play? Because I know you kind of consider yourself a variety streamer, but you're
Mm,
strictly on League of Legends. You were doing like the Forest and Phasmo for a
right.
while, because we did Phasmo
Yep.
together a couple
Yep.
times.
Phasma. Yeah.
Which
Even
October,
Fortnite. I think we played Fortnite
we
too.
played Fortnite a couple times. I know with
Oh wait,
Phasmophobia in
what?
October, you need to be in one of the games I do because I'm doing horror games
Yes,
all through October.
yes. Which I need to hop on that too. But yes, absolutely, 1000%. 'Cause I'm still scared of that game, so nothing's changed.
But do you
Nothing's
quantify
changed.
yourself into a certain genre? Do you consider yourself a variety streamer? And like, is there a genre you don't think you would stream?
Yeah.
That was like three questions in one. So dissect that however you need to.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so um, the best way I can put it is uh, I try to. There are certain games that like I want to play, um, like for myself, because if not, so for example, I thought about streaming Starfield, but I don't want to just be locked into that being a streaming game because then I'll be weird if I play it without streaming. Blah 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 blah. Um, so there's certain games I'll play on my own. But in terms of games in general that I wouldn't, excuse me, that I wouldn't actually play or stream is probably fighting games. I am trash at fighting games. The only fighting game that I would be even a semblance of decent is Smash Brothers, but that's it.
That's
Like
opening
Mortal
your gate to the
Kombat, trash.
competitive scene of Smash Brothers, and
Yeah.
that's a toxic community on its own.
Yeah, you want to talk about sweaty? Like, anyways, but um, yeah. So Marvel vs. Capcom trash. Naruto Ninja Storm trash. Like all those games, like the side scroll, like 2D games, not 2D, the side by side fighting games, Tekken, all that terrible. So you will not catch me dead streaming those games. It's not going to be enjoyable. Like it's not, but because there's people that's like, oh, I'm bad at the game, but it's funny. No, it'll just be miserable
It'll just
for
be
all parties
bad.
involved. All parties involved. So yeah, I typically stray away from fighting games just because I'm just bad at them. It's not my cup of tea at all.
That's fair. I think fighting games would definitely be on the list unless we did something for like the cabin or something like that. I think that would be really
Yeah,
interesting. But like the closest thing to shooters I do is Fortnite because I
shooters are fun.
and I guess we count because I did Starfield for a while until it started like trying to kill my computer. Trying to stream Starfield was
Yeah,
a freaking time, especially after the next gen update that they did. Oh my god, my computer was like, "We're dying. Please stop. Please, we don't have the
have
power.
mercy, have mercy.
You need to upgrade your GPU for the love of God and everything that is holy." And I still haven't been able to do
Yeah,
that yet. Because I'm running a 1660 Super right now, and it trying to run, stream, and
yeah.
Starfield. Ooh, buddy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Which my the lights turned off, so I don't even know. But uh, no, mine is so I have an HP Omen, um, and it serves its purpose. I definitely do want to upgrade the RAM, but yeah, yeah, no, fighting games I'm terrible at. Um, and it when it comes to variety, it's like the easiest thing I can uh English. I can quantify it or categorize it as because at first I was playing Forest, which is very different than League. Then I played a little bit of Dead Space 2 actually. Um,
Yeah, I think I came in
so
on a
really
couple of
it's
those streams too because it was the remaster of
yeah,
Dead Space 2, wasn't it?
yeah, which is so good by the way. Which I don't know if it really got the clout that it should have earned because
No,
it
it
was
definitely didn't.
good. It was good. So which stinks because I'm like, oh, they're probably not going to do anything else with it, but it was good. I can sing its praises. It was phenomenal remake. Phenomenal remake in every way, shape, and form. So, but yeah, it's really like it's like, what game am I feeling? And then I'll just type it up and then play it.
Dude, that
Um,
that's my biggest burnout right now as a streamer. I've got let's see here. I've got 375 games in my Steam library.
Oh my gosh.
I've got 16 of those in a category called games I'm streaming. No, let me rephrase that because I've got some of those undownloaded now. 27 of those are games that I'm streaming. Um, but like my main rotation right now is Atomic Heart. I want to finish it on stream. I'm definitely on a big Warhammer 40k group trader kick right now.
So good. It's so
Um,
good.
I've been playing Pacific Drive and it's been good, but I don't think it's one I'm gonna finish on stream because there's a lot of like technical finesse with it that I just am with. Um, I'm doing a Baldur's Gate 3 run with my brother right now, and then there's plans to do it with some members of the cabin.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
I've got to do my second playthrough of Until Then, but I'm waiting for my mod Mido. I'm waiting for his life to level out a little bit because he was like there with me through all of the first one, and it was like, oh
Yeah.
god, this is a story like the. So Until Then, I don't know if you know about it or if you was there for any of
Mm-mm.
the streams for it. It's
Talk about it.
it's kind of like a visual novel,
Okay.
uh, but it's not fully like stagnant screens all the time, and they do monotonous mini games. Like one of the first ones you deal with is plugging in a USB into a laptop. If you know that pain, you know that pain. You
What?
go to
Hold
plug in
on.
the USB and then you flip it over and then you go to plug in it again and it still doesn't work, so you flip it over again and it actually works that time. And you're like, what the hell, USB? Um, but it takes
So you
place.
actually have to do these tasks?
Yeah, and it's just this quick little thing to break up the reading and to break up the story a little bit. But it takes place in the Philippines, which is really
Okay.
cool because that's not a culture I'm really like I know a lot about, and it also
Right.
takes place in like the mid 2000s. So there's also like another somewhat mini game, but also like you chatting a little bit. But your character gets bored of watching TV, doesn't want to play video games, and so he lays on his couch and he starts flipping through basically Omegle, if you remember that from
Yeah.
the Wii
Oh
years.
yeah.
And so it's
Oh
like
yeah.
17 male, and then someone else says it back, so you disconnect, and then you do it again, and then they disconnect, and it's like I'm living so much of my middle school to high school right now through this game that it hurts. And
Oh my god.
so the story is really good and really compelling, and I'm not going to say much on it because I know um, Indie Bird in my chat, who's one of the cabin members that I love dearly, I gifted it to them for their birthday, and I can't wait for them to get to it through their massive backlog to stream this game. But the game goes really good and has a really sweet story, and then the ending, like, hurts. Like, physically, they punch you in the gut, you fall to the ground, and then they kick you
Of course.
repeatedly, and
Of course.
you're like, what in the world just happened? And then you sit through the credits, and through the credits they actually did why they play. There's another spot that you read a message, uh, and that message brought me to tears. And I'm just like, oh
Mm.
god. And then after the credits, it restarts, and it restarts where like you're running to school to try to catch the subway. The graffiti that you passed the first time changed colors. The guy that tries he's like a kind of like a sidewalk salesman, and he offers you cigarettes, but now he offers you like a bottle of water. And it's like there's these really minute changes. And so when you get on the subway, the friend that you're a part of your first project with at school is now one of your other friends that also shared the class with you. And I'm like, wait a minute here. Excuse me. And so now I get to go through this whole game again, knowing what happened at the end last time. And it's like,
Oh gosh.
can I fix it? Can I make a change? What is
Yeah.
different? And it's like,
Oh gosh, I love it.
and so I took a break from it and I just haven't got back to it, but I want to get back to it because it was so good.
Yeah, there was a game that which until then you said?
Until then, I'll send you the link right now for it on from Steam.
Yes. Yes, excellent.
And
Excellent. Yeah,
it's such a good story.
there's a let me see if it was on my no, it was okay, so I don't know if we've talked about it before, but it's a Trail of Cold Steel. So it's Legend of Heroes, and there's a quadrilogy. I don't know
Okay.
English. Where it's four games, four games. It was Trails of Cold Steel, and you're a class that was like a militaristic class. I don't want to really get into it because I actually highly recommend this game to every single person who loves JRPGs. But along the way, I'm not going to say who, but a certain character dies, and I remember playing this game because my roommate and I were playing it. Um, and a certain character dies, and I remember, I mean, tears were going down my face because this character was so beloved. They were awesome, and to see them legitimately die from what happened,
Yeah.
I was, I mean, bawling my eyes out. To the point where my roommate was like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Don't you know what?" And
No, I'm not.
and then so right after that happened, fast forward a couple cutscenes, and the game ends abruptly. Like the villain says a very dope, cold line,
Nice.
cliffhanger, cliffhanger. I mean, you're like, what? But that was I want to say one of the first games that actually compelled me to tears because of how good it was. Like, like the significance of that character, and then how they end up dying. There's another one that I'm like, I could have, because I'm a huge crybaby, so I'm pretty sure. Look at my. Oh, did I cry to that?
I
I
tried
think
it
so.
until
Okay.
then, and it wasn't even one that it wasn't even the part that like I like the ending. The ending didn't tear me up. There's a conversation while you're waiting outside the store with one of your best friends, and while you're having that conversation, there's another conversation that's going on like where you can see it because
Okay.
the camera view's not on you and your friend. It's on these two kids, and um, this one kid's parent picks him up and they leave, and so this other kid's just sitting there standing, and his mom comes up and starts talking with him and being like, "Oh well, why didn't they wait with you? Da 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 da." And he's like, "I'm gonna have a talk with that parent and everything." And the boy's like, "Well, I knew you were coming, and I knew you wouldn't leave me just here by myself. You would be here sooner or later." And be like, it made me thinking about my mom who's passed, and I'm just like, oh god,
Oh,
no. And I'm like,
yeah. Oh.
oh, and she's like, well, I'll always be here with you even when I'm not. And I'm just like, oh no. Yeah, but go
Oh.
ahead.
It was okay. So I'm a huge Titanfall fan.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm a huge Titanfall 2 fan, and
fair.
this one's old. So I don't. You can look this up on YouTube, but there's so you're Titan in the story, which by the way, Titanfall 2 best shooter campaign.
In a long while, yeah.
Period. Period. I have not played another story campaign that has beaten Titanfall 2's. Um, and so you're with this Titan, and the Titan's very, you can guess, very like uh programmed to
Yeah.
serve whatever. But and then so midway in the game, um, your pilot BT, or sorry, the Titan BT asks you, the pilot, hey, do you trust me? And you're like, why? He's like, don't worry about it, just trust me. Basically, he like launches you, catapults you super far away in the mission level to do various things, whatever. So then at the end of the game, it's basically like a do or die situation where you're both like, all right, this is it. Um, this is it's you and me. We're gonna self sacrifice together, right? And so you both get into like this cannon, And as you're getting ready to fire on the screen of your Titan, it says, mission objective 1, destroy the whatever it was. Mission objective 2, to start glitching out a bit, it says protect the pilot. So you fire, no, right before you fire, he's like, yo, BT, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, do you trust me? Launches, takes you out of the cockpit and throws you, and then he ends up sacrificing himself while you survive. And when that happened, I
Oh,
mean, it was just I was I lost my mind because it is a relatively short campaign, but throughout this
yeah.
campaign, it was a beautifully crafted like trust between the two. And so for him to have done that, I didn't see it coming. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna die heroically. No, he literally like, do you trust me? And then launches you. So it was great.
Oh,
I'm 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 always down for a good cry
oh
because
yeah.
it feels so good.
Well, it's like I know I got talking about this with one of the other people I've interviewed on here, and it's like I think video games as a media, as a storytelling as a storytelling point of view, is underestimated, even still today.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah,
you take you take Metal Gear Solid, I think it's 4, whichever one was on the PlayStation 3. That thing still had 2 discs as a PlayStation 3 game. And that game is mostly cutscenes. I know Hideo Kojima likes his cutscenes, but that game is a whole goddamn movie. And it's just like, it's crazy. Or like even, or Hideo, bringing him up as another reference though, is like Death Stranding. Norman Reedus and the
Mm,
Amazing Fetus. Like, that game is beautifully done. That game
yeah.
is mocap to hell and back, and it's just
Oh yeah.
the time, the money that went into it, or The Last of Us.
Oh, don't even get me started on The Last of
Oh,
Us.
the first Last of Us hurt so good, and the
Yep,
beginning of
yep.
Last of Us 2 hurts. Not as good, but it hurts, and it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
like
I'm I think it's my unpopular opinion, and I'm not even like, if you disagree with me, how dare you?
yeah
It's sincerely, the first Last of Us was so good. I remember beating the game, and the last scene where she goes, "Did you?" I forget what the line was, but basically like, "Did you lie to me? Like, did you do this for me?" And Joel looks at her right in the eye and says, "No, I didn't know." And it ends that
oh
way.
yeah, because you're driving back. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're in
I'm
the car
like,
and you're like, what? She's like, was there any, like, what happened? And you're just like, you bold face lie to her,
yep,
and it just like,
yep,
Joel,
yeah,
Joel,
yeah. But it's so compelling because I'm like, what?
or even the
I don't know
scene,
if I would have.
like even the scene, like you going through the hospital with her,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. It
ah,
was perfect. It was perfect because what do you do? Like, taking human complexity. What do you like? It's easy for someone to be like, "Oh, how dare he?" Or even the opposite, like, "Yeah, he should have done that." It's taking everything because it was so beautifully written and
yes,
narrated, and everything about it was great. You ask yourself, what would you have done in that same situation? Because I don't know what I would have done to
no,
really to end up treating her like your own daughter when he didn't want to in the first place,
yeah,
mind you. Like, I it's so tough. So the reason why I was like backtracking a bit. I was like,
yeah,
my unpopular opinion was, I'm like, it should have ended on the first one.
yep,
Not that they didn't do great with the other ones. I'm not saying that. Although I know it's very controversial, but it was just so good. My fear was that corporate greed would have taken over and they would have done another one and jacked up what they had built. So I'm like, no, end it. But
no, and so
man,
to
so
to
good.
to branch off of that a little bit, and I'm gonna put the, because I know it's a newer game, yada yada yada. I'm gonna put the spoiler warning here. If you haven't played Last of Us 2, skip a little bit, all that fun jazz.
Mm.
Going now. Uh, what we do with Joel. I think it is okay because I know that's where a lot of the big controversial is what when we kill Joel in a
Yeah.
cutscene, we don't get to control him. We're playing Ellie, and we take that out of our hands. I don't think it should have been right at the beginning of the game. I think if we did that end of first act or end of second act,
Mm.
uh, we could have. I think it would have been better,
Yeah.
and especially because like I think we would have played as what is it? Ashley, whatever her name is. Is it Ashley? I think it starts with an A. Whatever her
I
name
don't.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The second chick we play as through that whole game. I
Mm.
think if we would have got more of her backstory element, because I know there's that big section where you play as her for like a good hot minute, like at least an
Mm.
hour or two of gameplay where you play as her in like her society, in her team, and you get some of that
Yeah.
backstory first. I think people would have been a lot more compelled to understand where she comes from instead of us
Yeah.
getting that later and that being like one of the main ways we're introduced to her. I like that we get the understanding of who her father is and that whole
Yeah.
motivation for it. But I think if we would have just changed it up just a little, I think it would have gone over a lot better.
Yeah. I agree. Because I'm not saying like you have to keep Joel forever. Because I'm all for a death that would progress the narrative. Um. So I'm under the opinion of like, if you're gonna kill off Joel, great, but it's gonna be difficult if you do it first thing in the game because now you're like, all right, I guess I'm forced to deal with this forever now.
And
um,
and I think one of the one things that they did do well with Joel's death was the fact of he is old, he is
yeah,
tired, and he accepts it.
yeah,
Like at a certain point when he's getting the shit beat out of him, you can see that there's a look on his face where he just accepts it.
yeah,
I think another good twist that would have been really nice because where you start seeing Joel like midway through the game, I think we should have let it where Ellie does like finds him, but in her mind she finds him okay. And then so all those moments you see him later, I think would have been really cool as a twist of no, I'm dead, Ellie. Like
yeah,
and then like I think that would have been a really good twist. But I'm not a
yeah.
game writer. I mean, it's not
Right,
my
right.
job.
Who are we? Who are we?
I've got to accept the canon that we have, and I enjoy the
Yeah.
canon that we have. I'm really I has it been confirmed that we're getting a third one?
It. I'm like, I hope not.
I hope
It just
not as
starts
well.
to get dicey,
Yeah,
Now it's like, all right, now you're just trying to make into a whole thing,
I think it
and
would be good if we got another game within that world,
sure, yeah,
but
absolutely,
I think we need to conclude that story.
yeah, yeah. I
What?
Because if it goes too much longer, it just leaves room for it to be weird and
Yeah.
not as good quality. Because
So
now they're just making it just for the sake of making it.
so I've got to ask an interesting question then off of that. What other game do you think should have stopped?
Hmm. Another game that should have stopped. I'm like looking through all my libraries now.
Yeah, I'm thinking on it as well because like nothing really comes to mind right off the head,
Yeah.
but
Hold on.
because I'm mostly thinking of like just games that have sequels, games that like you could tell at a certain point became. Oh no, here it is, and it's probably gonna be a hot take.
Go
Assassin's
ahead.
Creed.
Ooh, actually, was just thinking about that too.
Assassin's
Oh,
Creed. I'd say after Revelations, because I'm pretty sure
which
Revelations is the last one we get Desmond in.
Desmond? Yeah.
No, it would be
Uh,
three. So technically, so we ended at three,
yeah. Yeah.
and I think we should have, because they did for a little bit in a way kind of go away from Desmond, but the fact that we were still using his DNA code for Black Flag, and I think that's where the major disconnect for me is, because I love the Assassin's Creed series. I love what it is because it's a good set of games. But Desmond's story is what made it compelling in the beginning.
I agree because it's the first thing you see. So it's the first like you're anchored to Desmond. You're intrigued at what's going on. Um, and it was packaged well. I know a lot of people didn't like the Desmond sequences. Because they were like, outside the Animus, they didn't really care for it. I thought all of it
Oh,
was great,
they're my favorite.
personally.
Some of my favorite parts.
Yeah, yeah, especially in the, I want to say it was part when you're in Rome,
Yeah,
like you're actually in real time Rome. It was just cool. I was like, no, this is dope. It was real time. It was in Desmond's time. Um, but the issue with Assassin's Creed is it's tricky because you're dealing with history and there's so much you can do.
yeah.
So either they should have tied it all together with Desmond and left it as that, or from the get go, not maybe tweaked the way like maybe just make it episodic. So like, all right, this is the American Revolution, this is the Ottoman Empire, this is the Jap like you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it just got weird because they threw away Desmond. And now they're
The,
low. They were kind of trying to keep him around, but then they started not to. They started to retcon him.
I
It just got weird.
I think one of my big things, because you have back Black Flag, and I like the concept of where they were going with that. Of you are playing a game tester for Abstergo,
Right?
and
Which that was cool.
which that was cool, and I understand why we continued down like using Desmond's DNA because they had it, which makes sense and like in canon of the universe is something that you could do, but I don't think the synchronization would be as strong. And
Yeah.
that's something where I get a little muddied with it, because then you go to, after Black Flag, you went to Unity, which is kind of the same concept, and
Hmm.
you're breaking up a bit of the canon there with the idea of like, oh, you can be anyone and use anyone's DNA as long as the signature is good enough, and as long as you're like a bit mental capacity to handle the past, basically, is good
Yeah.
enough. You're able to use anyone's DNA, and I think we either should have stayed with that idea and progressed it of you are your own person that's joining Abstergo, and that's cool because then it puts you as that anchor character. Or we should
Yeah.
have started with Lydia from Origins from the start. After that point,
Yeah.
we should have, because Lydia was an Animus tech. She was around that time. If we would have made
Hmm.
her the one looking through Desmond's memories and everything, I think that would have been the interesting part, because when you go from Black Flag to Unity, you get recruited by Desmond's crew, Sean and
Yep.
oh, I can't remember what his lab tech's name was, the Asian chick,
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
who
I don't
looks
remember her
like
name either.
Fee from Mirror's Edge.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but so if we would have got her there instead of her down the line, I think it would have been a much more compelling story. But then again, you have Origins, and then you have Origins,
Odyssey,
Odyssey, and then uh,
Valhalla, I think.
yeah, Valhalla. and we wrapped up her story already. And I know, like, because now we are getting into some spoiler territory if you're not caught up with the massive, stupid story that is Assassin's Creed at this point. We've
And
got
it's so.
we've got the new guy for Mirage, which was a prehistoric,
Yep.
which was a previous assassin now in the future, and I'm just like, wait a minute here, we need to calm down here on some of the sci-fi.
It got okay. I don't know if any of you have read no have watched the ending of Valhalla, and I'm not even I'm gonna butcher it, but just know basically, and I'm spoiling this on purpose because
Yeah,
I need the world to know how bad this is. This is bad writing. So basically, you play Valhalla. There's a certain I think it wasn't the Apple of Eden. It was like a staff, I think. Or no, it might have been
in Odyssey,
the
you
Apple
had
of
the
Eden.
staff. You had the staff
Okay.
it's the staff of Hermes because it let freaking Pythagorean live for so long, and
Okay.
then she the protag of Odyssey in the past, which is the chick,
Yep.
um, she lives long enough to pass it on to Lydia, and you only know that if you play the DLC for Odyssey.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We're Atlantis or something.
Yeah, which was a time. Um, she passes it on to Lydia. Lydia takes it, and it lets her. I think they was using it to help open the spot where Eivor was.
Okay. Yeah.
It was to open that because Yggdrasil is just a giant computer,
Yep.
which is what
Yep.
which we learned that the makers of the precursor race, that's what they call them.
Yep. Yep.
The precursor race is just a bunch of the old deities, which makes
Yep.
sense. Like I get that part makes sense.
Sure.
The idea that like Athena and Minerva, who was dealing with as Desmond, were downloaded into the computer. Cool. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I'll take that bit of sci-fi. But then the fact that you go through all that, you you shove previous assassin from Mirage, well, who's now a part of. You learn his story, Mirage.
Yep.
You shove him into Yggdrasil, and then you go back to the modern where we find the spot where he's at
Yep.
in Yggdrasil. You take him out and shove yourself in there, and now you're part of the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. Which also they indirectly, now that she's in the supercomputer, she indirectly confronts Desmond,
Yeah,
who's like the watcher of all things now. and she's now chilling with him. Meanwhile, the assassins from Mirage is now in the real world. Lord knows what he wants to
who's
do.
also
And
Loki.
it's yeah, and he
Also,
has definitely villainous intent. So
ugh,
it's all over the place for the sake of being all over the place. Like I
exactly. Like what
mm,
happened to the concept of we have a group of assassins fighting this evil
yes.
corporation that's been pulling the strings from behind because they've gotten
Mm-hmm.
artifacts that have immense power.
Yeah. It like you said it, the concept of, or if they didn't do that, the concept of a game tester infiltrating Abstergo, playing all these different assassins to get knowledge, to get experience because of the
the
effect
the
where
the bleep back
basically
effect, yeah.
yep, all to the end game of taking down Abstergo would have been dope. That would have been a great series, even if it was a trilogy.
Oh yeah,
If you did like Ezio, because he's still one of my favorites,
yep.
if not my favorite still. If you did Ezio in one game, if you did
Of course, Altair, because
even oh
Altair you have
no,
to start with.
fair. Okay, so if you did if it was a trilogy, all right, this is a question for you. If the
Okay,
Assassin's Creed can only be a trilogy, who would be the
the main three.
assassins for those games? Yep.
I would of course we got to start with Altair because he
Okay.
it makes sense. That's where like
Yep.
you find the corruption in the idea of Abstergo can do what they want. You see it on a smaller scale in retrospect, and then you
Yeah.
go to Ezio because Ezio is such a great character, and
Yeah.
and he formats with Desmond so well, which is why like Desmond has such a good feedback effect with him,
Yeah.
and they talk about it because also Ezio lived for freaking ever. God, that old man still kicking
Yeah.
butt in Revelations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think instead of Connor, I think we should have done Edward because Edward has a very similar story to uh, Ezio. Only he's a bit instead of learning it from birth and then up, he
Yeah.
learns it midway through his life, and he realizes that there are things amongst us in the world that is far worse than what I'm dealing with as a pirate.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
retrospect, and like
Yeah.
I think it would have been nice, or if we could do as a trilogy, do it as Kenway, and then skip to Connor because I like Connor's story as well.
Connor Connor annoyed me. I
That's fair.
think Connor was
I liked him in the alternate
the
universe DLC more.
I should have played it. Maybe I would have liked him more. Because he was now, I'm not saying every assassin has to be this mature, very loving, like harming guy. I'm not saying that. I think I when I was playing 3, I was like, "Connor, why are you crying? Stop crying about this." But I'm also I think I was right off the heels of Ezio, but um if I had to pick 3, I would pick Homeboy from Origins.
Yeah.
Um, his
Okay.
story was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, the whole thing was just dope. The avenging of his son, finding out really what's going on in behind the scenes. Um, I would do Ezio, but how they did Revelations, where Ezio would kind of see like follow the footsteps of Altair and do flashbacks. I'd
Ooh,
do that.
that'd be good.
And then the final game, if it was a trilogy, I'm trying to think of which one was like very integral. Not I didn't play Unity, so I can't say that one.
I can't take myself to play Unity. It's still a mess, and I hate that.
Still?
It's still a mess. I tried
Oh,
at
I
one
heard,
point
man.
on my PlayStation, my PS5, and it's still a mess.
Oof,
And
that
I
is no
hate that
bueno.
because then we got Syndicate right afterwards, and Syndicate runs fine.
Of course, it does. Oh, trilogy. If it were to end, it's tough. Maybe. It's tough. I would probably. I don't know, because I'm like I've played Odyssey, but I wouldn't use them.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I wouldn't use them.
I wouldn't
I
use
wouldn't
Eivor
use Unity.
either.
I wouldn't use Eivor either. No. Heck no.
I think you need a standalone Desmond game.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that one.
I
And just tie it all together.
to like kind of go off yours, doing Bayek for the first one, cool, because then you get the origins of the assassins, and I think that would
Yep.
be interesting. I think secondly from there though, as you said, doing uh, Ezio as in Revelations, doing it where he starts getting those flashbacks to Altair and
Yeah.
doing missions as Altair.
Yep.
Do some of
That'd be
like the
cool.
original Assassin's Creed 1 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Like the
from there
pickpocketing. Yep.
doing those like that's how Ezio learns his skills is like almost through the bleed effect through Altair. And
Yeah,
I think then with how that your trilogy would be set up, then I think you just need a standalone Desmond game in modern times.
yeah, I agree, and I think it would just be better than what's going on now. Honestly,
But again, what do we
'cause I
know?
even played Mirage. Yeah, I'm just a guy. Um, because I played Mirage and it was very underwhelming. I
I
think
haven't
it's
played
stepping in the
Mirage
right
yet.
direction.
I have
I
not
think it's
played it yet.
stepping it without spoilers. I'll
Yeah,
say that um my honest opinion, I think it's in the right direction for those who like the stealth version of Assassin's Creed. Definitely stepping in the right direction. But I think because they've done it so long without stealth like that, like being the focus, I think they were having trouble going back to that. So I think it's the right direction. And I think if they wanted to continue that way, I think they have a good foundation for it. But
I
for what
miss,
it was,
so
it was
mechanic
fun.
wise, I miss being able to counter people by the dozens and just mowing them down in the streets with counters.
Yes. Yes. There was something just so fun about hitting triangle, I think it was, or
Yep,
something, and
hitting
just countering them
triangle,
all.
just getting an animation
Yep.
of death.
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
I will say I am looking forward to the Japanese one we're about to get though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been wanting that setting for ever.
Yeah, like how can you not have the Assassin's Creed and not go to Japan where there's actual ninjas?
I make it make sense. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I think it got delayed, but I'm all
Well,
about like
it
delay it
needs
as long as you need to make
do
it
it
right.
right. And
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of the bloat comes from for their story, is that they was pumping out an Assassin's
Every year.
Creed every year.
Every year.
I mean, look at,
And it was too much.
because we did, Rogue came out the literally same day as uh Unity, and Unity was on the new engine,
Right.
Rogue was still on the Assassin's
Yep.
Creed 3 engine.
Yeah.
One was for
'Cause that's
next
when
gen,
the
one wasn't.
PS4 came out.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Although people loved Rogue. I never played it, but
So take the concept of
everyone
your
did.
the game tester,
Mhm.
only make yourself you're joining Abstergo. And you get to read a lot of the like history, and like you get to see Abstergo's side of everything.
Yeah.
And so
Which I think is cool.
I think that's great. Vinny has also requested we take a drink, so if you have a beverage.
Oh, yes. Hold on. Give me some H2O.
Um, but so yes, I think a lot of Assassin's Creed's bloat is definitely from where they were pumping one out every year.
Yeah.
What is your go-to
Yeah. It was
comfort game?
comfort. Usually, so I play with my roommates a lot. So the go-to comfort, I guess, is League.
I'm
But if I'm
sorry.
like by myself,
I'm sorry. I
yeah,
hate lead and MOBAs and stuff, and League's toxicity. I don't know how you do it, my
it's
dude.
it's honestly I ignore most of it. Sometimes I get triggered too, but my by myself lately it's been Starfield. Um or just pretty much like anything where I can just turn off my brain and like just be
Yeah,
is usually my comfort game, and it varies. I'm more of a social gamer, um, so sometimes I get bored with like single player games.
oh, that's fair.
Um, but when I'm by myself, which is rare, I'll throw in Fortnite. Oh, you know what? I'm a huge liar. Survival games are my comfort games. So like No Man's Sky, Conan Exiles, um, that kind of genre is that. Those are my comfort games for sure. I can spend hours building things.
Yeah. Um, I know I've been getting back into Minecraft a lot lately with the cabin, and that's been really nice. But I also get burnt out on Minecraft a lot, real heavily. And then like off stream, I've been playing Fields of Mystria, which has been fantastic. I don't know if you've seen or heard anything on it.
I have not. Field of what?
Mystria. It is Stardew on steroids. So Stardew Valley. It's in that like farming,
Mm,
living genre, life sim genre. Um, but it's done. The art styles like almost Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. It's got
I love that.
It's got mechanics of like they took Animal Crossing's like bug catching and fishing system. They, of course, you do farming. There's crafting in it. Um, the character palettes are done in like the retro Resident, not Resident Evil. Wow, that's a completely different genre than the game I'm about to say. Fire Emblem.
Oh yeah, I love. Yep.
And it's been, and I was gonna stream it because I was super excited for it when I saw it because I was streaming Stardew for like ever when I first started, and but I was like, no, this game needs to be a me game. It's so good. It's so
Start.
beautiful.
Yeah.
The soundtrack's fantastic. I can't wait to see how far it goes.
Indie developers, man, are
They're great.
skyrocketing.
Oh, they're
Skyrocketing. People forget Baldur's Gate is technically an indie game.
yeah, and it's like so. I've been talking with again Andy Bird, wonderful, amazing member of the cabin. Uh, they got me on a website called Lurk It, and it's kind of one of the reasons I'm like a little miffed about not being not having the 250 followers right now, because to sign up for the website and to verify your account through Twitch, you have to have 250 followers.
Of course.
And but what it is it's kind of like a website where you can get developers will put stipulations on their games, and it's a easy way for streamers to reach out and ask for like Steam codes and stuff like that. And I want to get into that, being able to like, oh, here's a really cool game. I like the idea of this game. Let me help you promote it, and also let me see how much I like it and the concepts that you have there. And like I got
Right.
looking around without my account being verified, and like Star Trekker was on there. Their requirements for you asking for a key are astronomical, but uh
Of course.
but it was like they're on there. Or and then there's just a bunch of just different indie games and stuff that are on there. It's like I want to help out that indie community because like until then is a fresh indie company out of the Philippines, a place you don't see games being made very much, a culture
Right.
like I said I knew nothing about until I played this game. And it's just like it's interesting to find games like that. Or there was a text adventure that I got because I watched indie play it. Or um uh Benny brought it up a little bit ago in chat whenever I brought up Until Then, because he said that like, Until Then goes free every June. It's not Until Then, it's Tell Me Why. And it goes
Mm,
free every June because one of the main characters is trans and they are a big LGBT support. Um,
okay.
that game, like it's in the style of Life is Strange. So
Okay.
it's one of those like story walk simulator kind of games. There's a mystery to it. Story's compelling. Story is fantastically compelling. But as I said, one of the main characters is trans, uh, female to male trans,
Hmm.
and you're coming back home with your sister after you've been sent to a not really a rehabilitation camp, but basically like a juvie type of situation, because one of the main mysteries is if you actually murdered your mother or not.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and it's in self
Oh
defense,
shoot.
which is why you get sent to like a. It's kind of like a psychiatric center and stuff like that.
Okay.
But when you come back, one of the townspeople that you knew as a kid, he stops by because he thought someone was breaking into the house, and it was one of those moments where I sat and I thought for a moment because I'm a very straight white male. I am white
Mhm.
bread. I will admit that to all ends of the earth. I am a white bread type of guy. But I
Right.
do consider myself an ally. And one of the reasons I played that during June is because it was A, I wanted to open myself up to that. B, I don't feel like I get to project myself as much as an ally
Mm.
as as I probably should because of just really shitty conditions that happened while I was in college. Um,
Right.
but your character gets asked, well, the other townsfolk member, he goes, well, I knew you turned into a guy, but I never expected you to look like that, or something along those lines. And you can say, well, I am a man, or well, I'm just me. And it's like I
Mm.
sat for like a good 5 minutes on stream, like contemplating that choice.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, what would I say? Which, and I thought of like me saying, well, I'm just me, would be the uh not really the aggressive choice, but like me standing my ground and being stuff like that. Well, like with Life is Strange, it's one of those decisions where they quantify the numbers of how many people who's played the game chose which one,
Mm.
and they counted that as the passive answer. And I was like, that was really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
And like just sitting there, I'm like, well, what would I say if I was in those shoes, or what would I how would I respond in that way, and is that really a passive answer or stuff like that? And so I find it, and that comes from an indie dev. That comes from like the people that made it do have a little bit of like, because some of them worked on Life is Strange, and you can definitely tell that, and some of them came from a very other similar. I think some of them also came from Telltale, and they started their own
Okay.
development company. And it's like this is an indie game, and I know like there's so many stories out there, and like bringing that up, rounding back to like video games are unappreciated media,
Yeah.
and like I make money off of playing them at this point, which is freaking astronomical to me still. Like it's wow, but it's really just underappreciated with the stories that need to be told through it because that's the medium that's only available for certain stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's less. How do I put it? There's like less. No one cares about casting. No one cares about race swapping or whatever when it comes to games because it's literally like crafted stories for anybody. And it's very rare that people would argue about, well, this character should have been this way or this character. It's like, no, just sit back and enjoy the story. And especially indie developers have done amazing jobs at crafting incredible stories that anybody can relate to.
Yeah.
Um, it's fantastic. Or they, a lot of indie companies let you play however you want, who you want, you know? So it's, as a media, it's definitely, I think it's really helped a lot of people. Like, how do I put it? It helped a lot of people feel comfortable in their own skin when the rest of the world gives them grief. Like,
Well, I mean, just take
um,
Marvel for
it,
example. How many
right,
times do we get flack because we changed a character? Like Nick
right,
Fury. Yeah, I love Samuel L. Jackson's version of Nick Fury, but people went up in arms about him being African American, and it's just like,
people don't talk
or
about that now because everyone loves them now.
oh
But
yeah, and we changed him in the comics for a while, and
yeah,
there were what's some other big character, or like A Percy Jackson series. The Percy Jackson series, it is dear to my heart. I love it to death. I hated the movies, honestly. Like they were, I'm like, cool. I'm one of those people that will be like, okay, cool, we got a movie. Let's take and enjoy the content that we've been given. But now that we
Yeah.
have the show being done by Rick Riordan himself and everything, they Annabeth is described very clearly in the comics: white skin, blonde hair, whole 9 yards. And then you had Grover, who was described this stoner uh, ginger who was really into reggae music and stuff like that. In the movie, they made Annabeth with black hair. People threw a fit. They made Grover African American. People threw a major fit on that. And then for the show, they made Annabeth African American, and they made Grover. I think he's like Indian. I want to say
Mm-hmm.
he's definitely not a ginger stoner. That's for sure. And it's just like,
Hilarious.
and it's just like people have thrown such a fit about it. But in my opinion, if the actor or actress is good, why does it matter? And enjoy the
Right.
content.
Yeah. I That's why I think any adaptation from any literature into a movie should have in its front a fat disclaimer that just says based on XYZ, because I agree with you. I'm like, I don't care how much melanin you got in your skin. If you are compelling and you're great, there you go, you got the job. Like, it's okay if there's slight like not everything. If people forget that let's take Marvel for example, if they were to take pound for pound everything that the comics did and try to put it in the movies, it'd be corny, it'd be goofy, like
We'd have
be
a
a
much more
mess.
alcoholic Tony Stark who did some
Yes,
very terrible things in the comics.
terrible, terrible. And I'm like, people just need to relax.
Or if we did
You're
DC for a
fine.
fact, we'd have a supervillain called Snowflame who literally gets his superpowers from smoking enough cocaine.
Like, yeah. So when it comes to adaptions, I'm like, it's
Well, and then we,
my
we
eyes
even
can't work.
we take those a little bit more, and it's like we know there's a multiverse,
Right.
or for DC's sake, we know there's an Elseworlds. Enjoy the variations.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy. It takes so much energy to be mad about details like that. Then I'm like, it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. But as you said
Yeah.
with these indie companies and stuff, we don't care about that. We don't care on the fact of the color of someone's skin for voice acting,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's one of those spots where we can
That's a
we
good
can
point, actually. Yeah.
we can the thing that people get up in arms at is the fact that those choices are there to begin with, and in my opinion, they're wrong.
Yeah. Which kudos to the voice actors too, um, because I think, especially when it comes to games that they voiced, I think they get loved on a lot more than TV actors do. Because, for example, one of my heroes is Matt Mercer, who voices
Dozens of
insurmountable
characters.
things. Yeah, he's just a great. He's super talented. Not only that, but I watched some of his Critical Role stuff. And I'm like, you're just great. And I'm like, voice everything, please, voice everything. Um, or Yuri, who voices like Spider-Man and a
Ben
bunch of other
10.
stuff. Like,
God,
yep,
Yuri, for the
yep.
love of God, every time I hear him, I love hearing his voice, but every time I go, why is Ben 10 in my Spider-Man game? Or why is Ben 10 Helldiver male voice number 2?
Hmm. Yeah, so I think I think the gaming industry as media is in a good it's in a good spot. It's in a better spot than it was when I was a kid because you would get roasted if you were a nerd or
Oh
played
yeah.
games. So I'm glad times have changed to where it's not the case anymore.
Oh yeah, for definitely for sure. And like the communities we had, I know we definitely touched on this earlier. Like if it wasn't for gaming, I wouldn't know you.
Yeah,
And or I wouldn't know
absolutely.
any of the members of the cabin or anything like that. And it's like it's those communities we find in gaming that really I think that's what makes all of our, dare I say it, joystick journeys, like that's where we start getting similar, especially nowadays
Yeah,
because gaming's at a forefront. Gaming is it's still underappreciated for sure, but we have made strides in it.
yeah.
And
I agree.
it's amazing to see what strides we've made in not just the mechanical side of gaming, but the community side. Because I and I know you probably remember too the days of like Call of Duty lobbies or Halo lobbies where you're
Yeah.
hearing every foul mouth thing done to your
Oh
mother
my god.
and the N
Yep.
word is
Yep.
thrown 50 miles away every direction. And
Yep.
it's but now we have those communities where we just come and sit down, we play a game together. We have a good
Yeah.
time together. And like couch co-op games, like you don't see them much anymore. You don't see games that have
Which is
couch
sad.
co-op. But then you have
Yeah.
It Takes Two, which if you haven't played it, find someone to play it with because that story is fantastic and it can be done
Ooh,
couch
okay.
co-op.
Say no more.
And
You wish list it right now.
it's fantastically done. And it's like it's those moments there that like really make me happy to be a gamer for sure.
Yeah. The I remember when I first played Overwatch 1, the first Overwatch, random lobby, was playing a game, and on the headset, was it a headset? Might have been. I don't remember, but basically it was random lobby, was playing a game. At first it did bad, but then I had like a clutch play, whatever. I ended up friending the team members that I was playing with, and I ended up playing games with them for years after, like many years after. And I'm a huge introvert, so things like that means a lot when it can be especially for those who can relate. It can be difficult sometimes to I don't know go out and make random friends,
Yeah.
but it's easier in a safer environment like games. And I've known people that met their best friends online and they'll meet up and they'll be legitimate friends in real life. And that's just it's just priceless, you know?
Well, to go off
You
that,
can't yeah.
like at the end of October, I'm about to drive 10 hours away from where I live to Wisconsin to visit Buggin' in Your Garden, which is another one of our fantastic cabin members for their wedding.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it's just like, and that's also going to be the first time I meet them in person.
Oh,
And
that's gonna be so cool.
and then a member of our community, Odin, which I know you've probably seen in my chat dozens
Yeah,
of
yeah,
times,
yeah, yeah.
he's also
Yep.
going. And so I get to meet him in person. And it's just like, I am so ecstatic to do that.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
And it's just
That's
like,
awesome.
and that's the power of gaming right there.
Yeah,
If it wasn't for where I'm at here on Twitch and where I'm at now mentally,
yeah,
it's crazy. But
yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you
I think that is a wonderful note to wrap it up here.
for
So
sure.
dear Miguel, is there anything you want to promote for yourself? Is there anything you want to? This is your soapbox right now. You are allowed to say whatever you need to, as long as it doesn't get me banned on Twitch and on the other platforms that Joystick Journeys gives out to.
I've been waiting for this. In fact, let me play every copyrighted music I can find. No, no, no. Look, for real. Thank you for having me on. This has been awesome. I'm re-waiting for the re-invite to do another episode. Um, it's been great, and I love talking about this stuff. I love the opportunity, and I look, whoever's watching, if you want to follow, go ahead. But um, I'm still under construction of sorts, so you'll definitely find me around though. I'm active on Threads though, if you want to follow me on Threads. But hey, if you're following Sand or Caleb, I don't know how you like to let your viewers call you, but
It's
you're in
whatever.
great company. You're in great company. So, man, I'm excited to see you blast off into the speed of light um, on this platform and any other platform you decide to go on. And it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Flabbergasted that you'd even want me, which is funny because when I went to log in on Discord, because I never use Discord,
I know you
I logged
don't.
on Discord. I, I logged on Discord, and all the way back in June, you
Yeah.
told me about it.
Oh yeah. Oh
My,
my God. Yeah. Holy shit.
yeah, so my bad. My bad.
No, you're fine.
My bad. But anywho, man, it's been
That
awesome, and I'm
that's
excited for
funny.
more of these
That's
for sure.
funny. I love that. Well, it has been a pleasure having you here at the arcade, the dear Captain Migs. Glad to have the captain on deck.
Yeah.
But thank you all for coming and hanging out. Again, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, where you can find the actual VOD. We are also on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and Samsung Podcast. So we're out there.
Ew,
Uh,
we're famous for
the captain's episode will probably be out next week, Monday, on all those platforms. So if you missed it or you want to watch it, there you go. But as always, everybody, thank you, goodbye, and good night.
See you later.